All right, at this point, you have picked what type of event you're going to throw, and you've also gained a clear understanding of who your attendee is. Now it's time to decide on what frame you want your attendee to enter into your event with. And when I say what frame you want your attendee to enter into your event with, I mean what mindset. What do you want them to be thinking, and what do you want them to be expecting when they come into your event? Now, before I dive into the event side of things, I'm going to give you an example that shows why framing is so important. A group of scientists did a study on a college class that had two different sections. It was the same class, but they had to have two different sections because there were so many kids in the class. And each section had about 200 to 300 kids in it. One day they were going to have a sub teach the class, and they wanted to provide a bio to the class so they could understand who their sub was going to be when they showed up. Except for one class, they gave a bio stating that the sub was a very nice, warm, and friendly teacher. And they gave the other section a bio that stated that the teacher was very stern and cold and even kind of mean. Now, it was the same teacher, but they gave two different descriptions to these two different sections, which significantly altered the framing of the classes. After the sub left, they gave both of the classes a survey, and the class that received the bio stating that the teacher was warm and friendly, nice and kind, said that they really enjoyed the teacher and that they had an overall good experience. However, the class that got the bio stating that the sub was cold and mean and stern and not very friendly said that they didn't really like him and they did not have a very good experience. It was the same substitute teaching the same topic, but because the framing was different for each class, both classes had two completely different experiences. So this example should show to you why it's important that you help your attendee enter into your event with the proper frame. Now I'm going to use the event Fund Launch Live as an example again. Fund Launch Live is a 3-day conference where we are teaching people how to launch and scale investment funds. There's a ton of speakers, there's a lot of networking, and it's really a lot of work for the attendee. And I make sure that the attendee knows that before they come into the event. I want them to know exactly what the event is about, what content they should expect to learn, and that they should enter into the event ready to engage, ready to participate, and ready to work really hard and maximize the value they get from the event. If somebody comes into Fund Launch Live outside of that framing, they're just simply not going to have a good experience. This is even true for the private events that I throw. For one of the communities that we throw events for, we throw two different types of private events. One is a workshop style event where they spend a lot of time diving into their projects, working, talking to partners, and honestly just grinding for 2 or 3 days. However, the other event that we throw is a very experiential event. We might have a few hours of session in the evening, but most of the event is spent doing experiential activities in a pretty cool location. Like in the past, we've gone to Mexico, we've gone to Hawaii, and we usually try to do a lot of group activities to get our community to engage with each other. Now, both are equally important, but it's also important that the attendee comes into that event with the proper framing. If somebody comes into the workshop event with the framing that it's going to be an experiential event, they're probably not going to have a great time. So it's up to me as the event planner to make sure they enter into the event with the proper framing. I'll use one more example to really hit this point home. About 6 months ago, I attended a really big event that had a ton of hype around it. Now, I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but this was supposed to be one of the biggest business conferences of all time, and it had a ton of A-list speakers on the lineup. However, going into the event, I didn't really know what the event was about. All I knew is it had a bunch of buzzwords on the website, and there were a ton of cool speakers, and honestly, a lot of people were talking about it, so they did a really good job marketing. But I didn't really know what I was supposed to get out of the event. And honestly, after the event, when I watched all of the speakers, I still didn't really know what it was about. There was a lot of hype and motivation, and yeah, there were some cool topics that were being covered, but there was no flow and there was definitely no frame. And I couldn't think of a single thing that I was supposed to walk away from that event with. And I think that all has to do with the framing. If I would have been properly framed going into the event, I would have known what I was supposed to be expecting and what I was supposed to get out of the event. But since that was non-existent, I had a terrible time at the event. So make sure you're putting your attendee into the proper frame prior to your event. I'll probably make another video on this, but the main way that I put my attendee into the proper frame is I just communicate with them a ton before they decide that they're going to attend the event and after they decide they're going to attend the event. If it's a public event, the website that they're going to be buying from is going to be very clear about what the event is about. So when they buy their ticket, they know they're going to be buying a ticket to a 3-day conference teaching them how to launch and scale investment funds. And then after the event, I'm going to be sending them emails every couple weeks, announcing speakers, sending out high-level itineraries, and reminding them what the event is about. So by the time they show up to the event, not only are they super familiar with our brand, but they get to hit the ground running because they already know what to expect. Like I said, I'll probably make a video in the future giving more tactics on how to get your attendee into the right frame, but it really just comes down to proper communication. Just make sure you're communicating with your attendee. All right, make sure you go into the workbook and complete the section on establishing a frame for your attendee. And once you do that, I'll see you in the next video.